You are a dangerous human being. You are irresponsible, untrustworthy, careless, untrained, inexperienced, a danger to both yourself and society. You need constant governmental supervision to keep you safe. So say the protectionists here in the United States. And it has become an accepted mindset. I've always called it here in the Nutnfancy project pussification. And I fight against it here in TMP. Reference lessons of my father's depussification, how we as parents can teach our children, our upcoming generations, how to be responsible, self-reliant, safe with dangerous things. Now, just occasionally, every so often, common sense will rise to the top amongst all of this propaganda that we fight every day, the protectionist propaganda. And in this situation, this instance, it comes from a very unexpected quarter. I was shocked. TSA. That's right. Soon you will be able to fly with knives of certain types on airlines. Says TSA. Awesome. You know, score one against the protectionist mindset. We'll talk about the specifics here, some of my favorites, just a few in this video. But first, you know it's coming. How about a little bit of philosophy? So have you heard when TSA changed this ruling, a bunch of opposition from all quarters? I'm shocked how much opposition there is to this rule change by TSA. People are saying, oh, heaven forbid that we allow these small, tiny little knives on aircraft. It will mean people are going to die all over again. Wow. I guess the brainwashing of America is now officially complete. And I've heard it on so-called conservative talk shows. Them saying this, oh, that's the stupidest thing TSA could ever do. You know what? I'm in full favor of it. Absolutely. In the big scheme of things, a little tiny knife, specifically, here comes one of the aspects, 2.36-inch blade, non-locking, is not going to bring down an aircraft. It's not going to do that much harm at all. And if someone was stupid enough to try to use it as a weapon, I'm thinking that the people in the back wouldn't put up for it. That guy's going to get pommeled so fast, get his head knocked in so quickly, he won't know what hit him. That's the reality. However, the protectionist propaganda rules the day. And so on all the stations, all the mainstream media, you're going to hear how stupid TSA is to do this, to allow these tiny little knives on aircraft again. And by the way, let's be real here. TSA is not doing it because they're fighting against this protectionist mindset. Not at all. They're doing it on a manpower issue as all. They're saying, hey, we spend too much time, searching these knives, confiscating these small little knives. Let's just allow it. We can concentrate on more important things. Okay? So I'm not a big TSA fan. So don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I am in complete opposition to any union, any person, any entity, any media source that says this is a stupid decision. I think it's a great decision. Absolutely. It will not threaten airline safety at all, I don't think. There's lots of other ways bad guys can use to injure people. Yes, even in a so-called secure environment, in an airport, on an aircraft, there's lots and lots of ways. They know them all. A little tiny knife is not going to change your airline safety. So says the Nutnfancy project. Okay? So, we talked about the size. It's 2.36-inch blade. That limits you. Huge. Huge. Non-locking. That limits you. Also, the blade cannot be wide. So if you haven't read the rule change yet, it can be no wider at its widest point than 1/2 inch. So if you're thinking, hey, great, 2.36-inch blade, I'll just have a really broad blade. No, can't do that. No box cutters are allowed, and apparently no molded grips. I don't like that one at all. And I'll tell you why. Because here's the Spyderco catalog in 2013. Incidentally, I was going to do this video just on tabletop form because I have several knives I'm going to show you, but I decided to do it this way. This is C154 BK. I would get the black one. And that is a slip it from Spyderco, and that's the squeak. Now that one is short enough, it's non-locking, that you would think it would be a legal knife to carry, right? But the problem is it's a molded handle. So the guys at TSA will go, hey, sorry, I can't bring that. Too bad, too bad. Now, I think you will see with this rule change, all the manufacturers coming out with TSA approved knives. I'm not too impressed with it, by the way. I mean, after all, it is, let's just take, I'm going to show you some of my knives that right now are in TMP inventory that will fit into this classification. They're good collectibles, they're great pocket knives. One I carry all the time, but they're not knives that I would ever classify as a weapon. Getting back to my reason for saying that it's ridiculous to think that these would be used as weapons on an aircraft. Could they? I guess, yeah. And in an extreme circumstance, it could be, but you could use a freaking tin can as a weapon if you wanted to. You know, a full bottle, not bottle, but can of Coke, you know, as an impact device. Yeah. I mean, evil people will always find a weapon. We've talked about that lots. So those are the stipulations. The no molded grip, kind of a bummer. Let's jump into some of my recommended knives right now. Snapshot in time, 2013. I'm going to start with Victorinox. How about the money clip? I can't get it really close or it won't focus. That is a great knife. Look how thin that is. Now, my philosophy of use on a TSA approved knife is nothing more than a utility knife. So for that, I would really like to have skizzers if I could. Those are very helpful. I always have a money clip with me, always, always. Maybe some fingernail maintenance. Also, we use our nail files for all kinds of things, digging into, you know, whatever. Like a seat back pocket, trying to get something out, scraping stuff. I use them all the time. And then you have a little pin blade on this money clip by Victorinox. There you go. Great option. Very light, inexpensive. Has a clip too if you want to use it for money. Whatever, do it. This is off my keychain. This is I think a Wagner, which is owned by Victorinox now. I'm sorry, not Wagner, but I'm trying to see. I think it is Wagner. It's just a little tiny keychain, Swiss Army knife. It's kind of like the the Victorinox Classic. So it has mini scissors, pin blade, and then you got your nail maintenance. One thing I like about the Victorinox version better is it actually has a flat blade driver right there. So, good option. That will pass security, no problem. Hey, this was given to me by a TMPer, and whoever you are, thank you very much. I met him in person. I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but he gave this to me, and I marked the box so I wouldn't forget. I don't know the model of this one. Comes in a little pouch, kind of cool. And it's just like a Swiss Army knife. I'm sorry, Victorinox Classic. So it has a little mini pin blade on it. This will totally pass security. It's got a multi-function blade right there. Very cool. Mini Phillips. Sorry that's not focusing too well. Let me put it against here. You see that? There you go. Cap lifter on that side. And then we have a Warncliffe blade. That's kind of special. That might be nice to have actually, especially digging out like splinters or something in field surgery. Has scissors. I think I showed you that. Sorry, I don't know the name. And then there's that driver. This is a clip. I'm sorry, the nail file with the driver on it. Victorinox style. That is excellent. So all these mini Victorinox knives will pass through security, no problem. And then my very beloved, you guessed it, Victorinox Cadet. Come on down. This would be my #1 recommended airline knife with a caveat. And one of those caveats is it might be just a bit over 2.36 inches. My gut feeling is you'll be able to push that a little bit. Trust me. I mean, there's going to be people that will hear that knives are allowed. They're going to be coming through with like locking, hunting knives, everything. I mean, that's just how people are. They don't look at the specifics. They just hear the generalities and they go. So TSA, I hope you're ready. It's coming. Guys are going, oh, knives are allowed? Here you go. You know, Raja 3 coming through. That's a great knife. The Cadet, thin ALOX aluminum handles. You've seen it lots and lots. I reviewed it back in 2008. Very favored. Flat blade driver here. Can opener, one of the best in the world. And there's your multi-purpose nail file right there. There you go. And since I talked about it so much in the Nutnfancy project, I pressured Victorinox to come out with other colors. I think they did starting last year. I could be wrong. So more colors on the way for that. The only caveat I will say with Victorinox, and this is a little insight here in the Nutnfancy project, is I hit them up, specifically Becky Spaloff, who you've seen on our SHOT Show videos. We've been working on a special edition TMP Cadet for basically 2.5 years. And I was very patient working with Victorinox, back and forth with Becky. She contacts Victorinox Europe. And you know how easy these things are to make, right? We showed you a SHOT Show video. They just basically press it together with a certain machine from high quality components. They're extremely easy to make. I said, let's do a special TMP serial numbered Cadet, my coloration, TMP serial number. And the bottom line was, and keep in mind, I've sold, I don't know, how many thousands of these for Victorinox with my publicity of it. Bottom line is Victorinox Europe came back and said, no. Not just no, but absolutely not, is kind of the vibe I got from Becky. I was like, whoa. I suspect, I'm not positive, that it's because of the political discourse here in the Nutnfancy project, that Victorinox does not want to do a TMP Cadet. There you go. Little insight to the intrigue of one manufacturer, Victorinox. I got to tell you, it demotivates me to do any more Victorinox reviews, even though I love their products. Kind of like this one. Probably on the large size to get through TSA. This is a Spartan in black and in, I think, mossy oak. A little bit bigger blade though, so I don't think this would pass. That's too big of a blade. Over 2.36 inches. But if you go from the cutting edge, it qualifies by my estimation. Now, if you'll see from the chart here, they're actually measuring it from how the blade comes out of the handle, 2.36 inches. Well, how did they come up with that? Not 2.4, but 2.36 inches. Is that ridiculous? So these are great knives. I rarely carry these because they're too fat, the Spartans. So a couple of Victorinox options with a little bit of lack of support for the Nutnfancy project, to be dead honest with you guys. Yeah, disappointing, very disappointing, because I have a lot, I'm talking thousands of TMPers that want that TMP Cadet knife. So if you see Victorinox, you talk to Becky, you know, let them know. Say, hey, uncool, man. Here you go. How about Spyderco? All three of these would classify. Oh, these are the Spyderco slip joint folders starting from the top. That is a C133 Bug reviewed in the Nutnfancy project. The C137 Honeybee. And then probably my favorite for a TSA approved knife, this I'm talking in the series, C138 Grasshopper. Excellent. I think it's 3 CR13 MOV is a steal on these. Here is a Honeybee out of box engraved. I've sent these off to TMPers as thank yous. And look at that. It's just basically, it looks like a little miniature stainless steel Endura. These knives. Great for cleaning fingernails, cutting things, small things. These blades are so small, except for the Grasshopper. They're not, you know, large enough for big cutting tasks. Just tiny little ones that you might have. But again, voice cracking. Again, the philosophy of use is a utility knife. That's a great blade right there. Very affordable too. I think the Grasshopper is around $8 if you go to the right source. Sadly, this one won't count. The Spyderco Dragonfly on several accounts. The blade is short enough, but it's locking. They don't like that, and then it's a molded grip. So this is non-TSA approved with current rule change. Too bad, because that would be great. Molded grip kind of rules it out. Neither would this one. Mini grip from Benchmade. So sad. It's a little bit big, locking, molded grip. I mean, this violates it in pretty much everything. So you can't take your mini griptillion with you. Also sad. Okay, but here's some happy news. From a great manufacturer. You saw them in our SHOT Show booth review in 2012. Fred and company did such a great job. I love this knife company. Case! Come on down. American craftsmanship. You might be able to get this one through TSA. This is a Case Canoe knife. I believe in amber bone is what this one is, I think. It is model number 263, 2.9 ounces, chrome vanadium steel. Let me see if that will focus. Look at how beautiful that knife is. Every Canoe knife has its own pattern, its own handle materials. These are made by American craftsmen carefully. They come razor sharp. It's a beautiful classic drop point blade shape. As you can tell, it looks like a, you guessed it, Canoe. That's where it gets its name. And it has a smaller blade with it as well. 2.9 ounces. They will vary in price. Expect around 40 to 50 bucks for a lot of the Canoe knives. They're really collectibles and awesome pocket knives. On the big side, to get through TSA though, you may have this confiscated, so be heads up on that. However, this one I can guarantee you will get through, and it is another favorite case knife that I have. Haven't ever reviewed it. This will classify as my mini review on it, and it is the Case Butterbean. Come on down. This is number, flip it this way. This is number 1 out of 3,000. Eat your heart out. Butterbean knife. If you're saying, hey, that's a smaller version of the Canoe knife, you are absolutely correct. It is. So the blade is not wider than 1/2 inch. And as you can see, it has a smaller blade here. And these lock really solid. All the Case knives have just superb workmanship and materials on them. Quality control is superb. Case does such a great job. Look at the polishing on it. A lot of the models will have what they call a pocket worn finish, and that is where the bolsters and the handle are rounded like it's been carried in your pocket for a long time. Razor sharp, the Butterbeans. Look how thin it is. Has brass liners. This is old school American craftsmanship. All these Case knives. And look, it even has an unsharpened swedge on it. How cool is that? Look on the tip there. Kind of a throwback to the old knives from the 1800s. I have several models to show you here. This is a Butterbean in dark molasses. It's the handle materials really make the personality of each Case knife. It is 20074 for about $45. And I bought these from a website called www.wessonhardware.com. Let them know that Nutnfancy sent you. It's an old, I think, Ace Hardware store that sells Case knives. I kind of bought them from them because when I was a kid in the 70s, I used to buy Case knives out of a local hardware store, so it was kind of nostalgic for me to go back. Check this one out. This one is in natural bone with a Case logo. If you see my eyes light up when these knives come out, it's because I just love them. Look at that thing. Isn't that cool? Natural bone, polished bolsters, razor sharp. It's just a beautiful little knife with so much personality and character. TSA approved. No clip, so carry it deep in the pocket so it won't fall out and you won't lose it. You will cry if you do. And they're not really cheap. This one cost the Nutnfancy project 38 bucks. I think it's worth it. Again, these are made in the United States. The United States is always more costly. United States production. Here's one. I'm not super fond of this coloration. You guys may love it. Man, that blade's stiff, the small one. This is Summer's End. TSA approved Case Butterbean knife, and that is 8714 for $41. You guys like that color? It's okay. There's other ones out there. But one thing I love that Case does, Fred and company there, is they limit it. So come out in production for a couple years, then it's gone, and it's retired for a number of years. And then maybe it will come back, maybe it won't. So each of these knives really is a collectible in the essence of just that it's special. Here's another Case one. I really love this one. This is a Case Tiny Texas toothpick at 1.2 ounces. Actually 1 ounce even. Look at this sucker. Look how cool that is. Non-locking. It meets the width and blade size requirements for TSA. Highly recommended. Go to wessonhardware.com and buy one. Or if I find another supplier, I'll annotate it somewhere through the video. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful handle material there? Kind of a jade bone. And then I have another one in gray bone right here. chrome vanadium, razor sharp blades. Notice this one is satin finished here, and the one I just showed you is polished. So the polished ones are going to cost more because it takes more time to finish it, of course. You can see the difference. If you're just going to use it as a user, you might just go with the less expensive Case Tiny Texas toothpick. Both of these models, by the way, are pocket worn. So they have those rounded edges that I talked about. And when you check these out, they have such precision. Everything is just so precise and just so. I have had 2 case knives that something was off on them and I just didn't like it. I just sent it back to the factory. And it took a few weeks. I got it back. Perfect. Perfect. Here's another one. I love this one. I'm going to wrap this up soon. This is a Case Tiny Trapper. 1.2 ounces. And if you're familiar with a Case lineup, you know they have a regular trapper, a mini trapper, and this is a tiny trapper. Still using that Spyderco box to focus. It's got the Case logo on it. How cool is that? Okay, so it has the main blade here, totally TSA legal. Then it has another blade, kind of a Skinner blade, Spey style blade, very small. 1.2 ounces. This is in blue bone, it's called, with the Case logo, as you saw, and it's model number 7055. That's it. That's all I'm going to show you. A few of my favorite TSA approved, really, pocket knives. I am glad TSA has changed the ruling. I do not think it threatens public safety in any way. It will, however, make your traveling experience much more pleasant, as you might take with you a small pocket toolkit with you to handle life's little chores. As far as I know, multi-tools are not allowed unless they fall into that category. So they have to meet the blade length, no other sharp devices in there, all that other still ridiculous stuff. I'm sorry, but it's something. It's something. At least you can have something with you and you will be so glad. Thanks for watching the Nutnfancy project. Happy flying.